Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. In case you need interpretation, please, you can come at the back here at the booth in order for you to collect the headset. Bonjour, mesdames et messieurs. Au cas où vous avez besoin de la traduction, veuillez nous voir ici derrière et ainsi que recevoir vos casques ou des écouteurs. Merci.
Nkosi sikeleli Afrika maluphakanyiswa uphondo lwayo izwa imithandazo yethu Nkosi sikelela thina lusapho lwayo morena buluka sitshaba sa Yesu ufedise dintwali matshwenyeho usibuluke sitshaba sa Yesu sitshaba sa South Africa, South Africa. Die blauw van onze hemel, die diepte van ons Heer. Ons ewige geberdes van die krasse antwoord gee. Sounds the call to come together and united we shall stand. Let us live and strive for freedom in South Africa, our land.
Ladies and gentlemen, we as an organization, as a choir, we are called Sounds of Jozi Development Hub, and it is an honor for us to present our artistry here today. Please enjoy. If you do know some of the songs today, please feel free to sing along with us. Thank you.
Phezulu enkosini kuhlali ngcwele zodwa uma ufunai ukuya khona thandaza phezulu enkosini kuhlali ngcwele zodwa uma ufunai ukuya khona thandaza. Somebody's crying, oh Lord. Kumbaya. Somebody's crying, oh Lord. Kumbaya. Somebody's praying, oh Lord. Kumbaya. Somebody's praying, oh Lord. Kumbaya. Oh Lord, hear my prayer. Kumbaya. As I lift my voice and say, Kumbaya. I need you, Lord, today. Kumbaya. I need you right away. Kumbaya. Somebody's in despair. Somebody feels like no one cares. I know you may Somebody's in despair. Somebody feels like no one cares. Oh, kumbaya. Oh, Lord, kumbaya. Oh, Lord, kumbaya. Somebody's in despair. Somebody feels like no one cares. I know you make a way. Yes, Lord, you make a way. Somebody's in despair. Somebody feels like no one cares. Oh, kumbaya. Oh, Lord, kumbaya. Oh, Lord, kumbaya. Oh, Lord, kumbaya. Oh, Lord, kumbaya. Pendula, oh, pendula, 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 oh, pendula, 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 oh, pendula, 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 comes down to It all comes down to love. 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 It all comes down to love.
I think the sounds of Josie deserve a bigger round of applause. Good morning, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I am Kweku Inshira Ado, and I'm a broadcast journalist in Accra, Ghana, and I'm very happy, privileged, and honored to be a master of ceremony for the third Data Protection Africa Summit. The theme for this year is advancing data protection for Africa's growing digital economy. Our world, spanning all 7 seas, has become smaller by the day because technology keeps bringing us closer together. We make friends across the globe and sometimes never meet. We build relationships and we do trade with people that we don't see or meet. But the flow of data creates another conundrum for all of us because we put out a lot of information. And just as in our physical interactions, sometimes there are people who don't play fair. In the digital space, there are hurdles to scale. The African Digital Rights Hub over the years has been putting together Data Protection Africa Summit to ensure that the people in the industry, controllers, data processors, and everyone will learn a thing or two about where we're going, what the hurdles are, and what we can do to ensure that not only are we creating the necessary knowledge so people can navigate these spaces, but more importantly, that we grow together. And that's brought us here. In 2018, we started in Mauritius. And then in 2019, we were in Dakar. In 2020, we all spent most of that year washing our hands and trying to stay alive. Thank God, 2 years down the line, we're back here. At the cost of some wonderful people that we haven't with us anymore. Economies have been brought to their knees, but the resilience of the human race shines through. And I think you all deserve a round of applause for making it through, for being here, not necessarily by your own doing, but by grace and taking care of yourselves. Now, I'm not going to take too much of your time because I'm sure the hairs on your backs have not gone down yet after the performance of Sounds of Josie. I caught a few people tearing up. I managed to hide mine very well, but that was a great performance. Now, there's always one person who starts something. If you believe in the Bible story of creation, even though one part of the Trinity says, let there be light, when it came to making man, it says, let us make man. It takes one to lead. Help me welcome the convener of the Data Protection Africa Summit and founder and executive director of the African Digital Rights Hub, Ms. Teki Akwete.
Le premier citoyen de la ville, Christophe Muzungu. Le patron des patrons, Moulopoe, Gabel Chitea. Jean-Claude Massambona.
Sabona, Dumelang, Huyamora, good morning. Your Excellencies, Commissioners of the Information Regulator of South Africa, invited guests, participants of this august conference, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the board of the Africa Digital Rights Hub, I warmly welcome you all to the 2022 Data Protection Africa Summit. Permit me to use this opportunity to also acknowledge two of our board members that made it to this year's summit, Dr. Philomena Nyaku. Doc is not just a member of our board, but she also sat on the board of the Data Protection Commission and is the immediate past government statistician of Ghana. And then we also have Ambassador Kwesi Kwortey, who we just had the honor of joining our board, and he's the immediate past president, vice chairperson of the African Union Commission. Thank you very much, Madam, for joining us here. The Africa Digital Rights Hub is a not-for-profit, we like to say think and action tank, that promotes Pan-African research and capacity building on digital rights. Interested in the impact of digital technologies on people living in the continent, the Hub brings together academic researchers, stakeholders, policymakers, regional and international bodies to address digital rights issues in Africa. Our mission is to facilitate African solutions on data governance and emerging technologies, whilst ensuring that the digital rights of all citizens are guaranteed. We believe that for digital rights to progress in Africa, there needs to be collaboration across all stakeholders. And this can be achieved through research, capacity building, such as this, policy advisory and advocacy programs. It is therefore in this light that we developed the Data Protection Africa Summit as an annual event to advance the cause of data protection and privacy in Africa. The objective of this summit is to build capacity, facilitate collaboration, showcase expertise, and explore the issue of data protection and privacy for the, The objective of this summit is to build capacity, facilitate collaboration, showcase expertise, and explore the issue of data protection and privacy on the continent by creating an enabling environment for the collection and use of personal data as a strategic and critical resource for our socioeconomic development. Since 2018, we have had the opportunity to hold 2 in-person events in Mauritius and Senegal, and 2 virtual and hybrid events launched as a result of the pandemic in 2020 and 2021. This year, after having postponed the in-person event for 2 years, we finally have the opportunity of collaborating with the Information Regulator of South Africa under the theme, Developing Data Protection for Africa's Digital Economy, which theme has been carefully chosen in the light of current developments on the continent. Under this theme, and over the course of these 2 days, we will explore topics on enabling environment, industry innovation, and disruptive technologies. Before I overstay my welcome here, I want to express my sincere appreciation to the Information Regulator for agreeing to co-host this year's event with us. Also, I want to say a big thank you to our sponsors, William and Flora Hewlett Foundation, Meta, Isiakwete & Co., for not just believing in this dream, but putting resources behind it. I also want to thank the Summit Advisory Council, the Summit Management Team made up of the officers of ADRH and the Information Regulator and A1 Media for making this happen. Please do well to enjoy the sessions that have been specially crafted to engage and stimulate you intellectually and socially. Welcome to the Data Protection Africa Summit. Sia Bonga, Ria Bonga. Bye, Donkey. Thank you.
It's moments like this you're grateful there's no crime against not getting a sentence right. I'm not going to try, so I think Teki deserves a round of applause for her bravery. We're at the point where, as Teki indicated, this is an idea that may have started with her, but has gathered a lot of friends and collaborators along the way. And we're going to hear from some of our partners who will be giving us goodwill messages. We're going to start off with the host of the very first Data Protection Africa Summit, Mrs. Jujesia Madhab, the Data Protection Commissioner from the Republic of Mauritius. Let's welcome her.
Albert Marteau Kalamba, le poids lourd.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I will not try the South African language, so please spare me today. For people who know me, actually, I'm known to be someone who is quite provocative in her speeches. So please bear with me if it offends anyone in terms of thinking, so I please apologize. I will start by saying, you know, our world is constantly being shaken by attacks in all forms. We just heard what is happening around COVID, pandemics, etc., etc. Natural attacks, virtual attacks, simulated attacks, scientific fabrication, whether COVID is actually a natural disease or not, question mark. Cyber attacks have rocketed unprecedentedly these last years. People and technology, although, you know, under constant evolution, was not prepared for the COVID pandemic. The question is, how come our world in 2020, now 2022, was not prepared and is still not prepared to shield itself from attacks of all sorts? We don't have the answer, do we? So, first of all, the problem is and will remain the human mind. We focus on instant benefit and profit. And we are thus, because of this, very short-sighted, right? In the development of technologies and digital solutions, for using the propaganda, better good, welfare of people, right? We neglect constantly, every day, in our daily lives, the welfare component of prevailing, which is not prevailing over commercial profits. So commercial profit is our motive, industry, business. Governments as well have their own vested interests. So we are all looking and furthering our own agendas. And this is not acceptable in the data protection community and landscape, because we are here to protect the fundamental human rights of people. This is our main motive. That is, this community today is here reunited after the third or fourth, fifth occasions for furthering the common good. And this is also what I believe in my work and what I try to do, although not always successful. So, not realizing that any such innovation from a technological perspective is very short-termed, right? When we focus only on commercial profits, because we're not focusing on long-term sustainability. That is where technology fails, all right? So when we speak of data protection, we meet with a lot of resistance, as it does not go in the direction of instant profit, but long-term profitability. So we need to change our focus, dear ladies and gentlemen. If we want to see ourselves not being sacrificed, the human race, in the name of selfish motives, furthered by the industry, as I said, or even governments, okay, we need to change focus. Data protection aims at pulling the rope in favor of people, right? The greater perspective is missing in the development of technologies. Now, privacy-enhancing technologies, probably you've heard of privacy by design, are being analyzed, we know that, are being looked carefully at in the development of technologies. But we know there's a long way to go for them to be legitimately incorporated in the greater good component of AI-driven technologies and virtual reality and AR, augmented reality. My second observation goes towards human maturity in understanding the priorities at stake, right? This is why we're here today, is developing our human maturity. In 2022, our race has not proven itself to be proactive enough in making the right decisions for healthy policies regarding the protection of fundamental human rights, especially in less developed countries, plagued by poverty and bad governance. So my question goes again to the international community. When is the UN going to tackle these pressing issues of governance impacting lives of people at the very core? When national sovereignty is being used as an abusive weapon to shield governments who shy away from their responsibilities in enacting the right legal frameworks, coupled with the right actions taken at all levels to ensure efficiency. Question is again, how many countries in our continent are already equipped with robust data protection policies? The answer, I leave it to you because I know you know the answer. All right? Now, many will say, to conclude, this is utopia and impossible. I rest my case here. Thank you. Oh Lord, Kumbaya.
If you ever look for the poster child for a fearless leader, that's Mrs. Judicia Madhab. A round of applause for her, please. We'll take our next goodwill message from the Commissioner from Uganda, Madame Stella Alibatese. Let's welcome her with a round of applause.
Tous les soirs, on dirait fêtier.
Hey! Socrate est là pour mettre l'ambiance. Tous les peuples africains sont réunis ici en France. Il faut que ça cartonne, obligé de...
Good morning, everyone. I won't shy away from the greeting, like Durdesha. Sawubona. I hope I've done a good job of it. So good morning, everyone. As introduced, my name is Stella Alibatese. I head the Personal Data Protection Office in Uganda. Uganda passed its data protection law in 2019, and the office was opened last year in August 2021. So we are one of the newest kids on the block, aside from Nigeria. So I'm very happy to be here, and I want to thank the Africa Digital Rights Hub, the convener for this session or summit, and the information regulator for supporting for supporting the summit. I think summits of this kind are very important for the development of data protection in Africa. I first attended the first summit in 2018 in Mauritius, and at the time, Uganda had a bill. We had had a bill since 2015. So you can imagine how long the journey took. I remember at that summit, I didn't inform the members that we are almost there. And indeed, in 2019, we were able to pass that bill. Between the time I attended the summit and the passing of the bill, I received a lot of support from the data protection commissioners that I interacted with at the summit. I received a lot of information, I received a lot of guidance on how to proceed. As a result, Uganda is said to be one of those countries that has a comprehensive data protection and privacy act. Why did I mention that? I would like to inform the participants here that us attending these summits is very, very critical. We can be able to network, we are able to learn, and we are able to address some of those issues that Mrs. Madubu was talking about. How do we create harmonization within Africa so that we are able to deliver that digital economy that we are talking about today? The summit key areas are very important for us, especially those of us who have just started this journey. Issues of accountability, issues of compliance, issues of cross-border data flows. One of the, for us in Uganda, yes, COVID was bad, but there's always a silver lining to a dark cloud. The Personal Data Protection Office sits within an organization called the National Information Technology Authority. That authority in Uganda is charged with the responsibility to advance digitization across government. I don't know how many of us here from African governments. Put up your hand if public officials want to use digital systems. I don't see any hand. So COVID really advanced digitization, at least within our government, where we had to beg, please, can you digitize your processes? Can you use information systems to do your work? Now they were actually calling. They were on Zoom, and of course that trajectory has continued. With that increased digitization, we find that there are many harms that can be caused. She talked about cybersecurity and issues like that. So when we sit here and talk about issues to do with compliance, my eyes, are wide open, my ears are open to be able to receive that information so that it can inform our actions in Uganda. I want to thank the information regulator for being part of this summit. I personally admire them because I travel to South Africa quite often. But over the last few years, I find that whether you're in a hotel, they are talking about their privacy policy. You go to an education facility, they are talking about, privacy. You go to a doctor, they are talking about privacy. So I'm keen on learning from the information regulator how it was done. How do you ensure that compliance permeates the government and the private sector? With that, I want to thank the Africa Digital Rights Hub for convening us here, and for all of you participants. I look forward to learning from you. Thank you.
I think we can extend that a round of applause for Stella Alibatese. Next up, we'll be hearing from a representative from Meta in the person of Dr. Ololade Shilon. Let's give her a round of applause, please.
So I was actually not going to also try to greet in any South African language, but then I also want to avoid being taken to task because until I think early last year, I had lived in South Africa for almost 15 years. So because of that, I'll say Dumelang. Excellencies, the Honorable Commissioners of the Information Regulator, Data Protection Authorities present, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to be here on behalf of Meta at the 5th, I thought it was 4th, but Teki corrected me, at the 5th Data Protection Africa Summit with the theme, Developing Data Protection for Africa for Africa's digital economy. Meta congratulates the Africa Digital Rights Hub and the Information Regulator for hosting this important event and bringing together key stakeholders and leading experts on data protection from across the continent. Having been part, like Stella, of the first summit, although wearing a different hat then, it is commendable that the ADHR continues to be instrumental in the advancement of data protection in Africa by bringing together stakeholders of the data protection ecosystem with the goal of discussing and preferring solutions to emerging issues on data protection in Africa. Indeed, this year's summit, key focus areas such as the metaverse and cross-border data flows, as well as the overall theme on Africa's digital economy, are particularly apt. Why do I say that? Because according to research, by 2025, the digital economy is expected to contribute up to $300 billion to Africa's GDP, representing about 10% growth per year. And during his address to the African head of states at the BOMA, organized by the AUC in July, Meta's president of public policy, Nick Clegg, remarked that the ability to connect across borders, to buy and sell, collaborate and share, is the magical quality that makes the digital economy the incredible growth engine it has become. At Meta, we strongly believe that an important component for the growth of the digital economy globally, and of course in Africa, are thriving businesses, both large and small, supported by a data ecosystem that is shaped by laws and policies that protect the personal data of individuals, while also promoting innovation in digital trade, including the free flow of data. As we all know, AfCFTA came into force in May 2019, and it presents astounding potential. It's expected to cover a market of over 1.3 billion people with a combined gross domestic product of 3.4 trillion across the continent. And according to the World Bank, AfCFTA has the potential to lift 30 million people in Africa out of poverty and to boost the incomes of nearly 68 million others who live on less than $5.50 a day. This, in my opinion, is truly remarkable. However, as I expect we will be discussing later tomorrow, in the session on cross-border data flows, there are existing challenges such as the lack of harmonization of frameworks in Africa, especially in relation to cross-border data flows. And of course, we're seeing increased restrictions on the free flow of data, which has the potential to undermine the growth of the digital economy and ultimately the full realization of the potential of AfCFTA. Nevertheless, the negotiations on the AfCFTA e-commerce protocol, as well as the development of a cross-border data flows mechanism as recommended by the AU Data Policy Framework, which was released earlier this year, both hold promise for the continent in this regard. And on the metaverse, I'm sure, as you all know, that last year, Facebook rebranded and became Meta, with a renewed focus of bringing the metaverse to life and helping to connect, helping people connect, find communities, and also to grow businesses. The metaverse presents the potential to create more social economic opportunities for the future. It is estimated that the metaverse economy could be worth more than $3 trillion globally within the next decade. And while it is too soon to tell exactly what the metaverse economy is going to look like, it is hard to imagine that it will be anything different from what the internet has done today in terms of revolutionizing commerce, especially for small and medium businesses, and how it has also facilitated economic inclusion for historically marginalized people. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, it is our hope that the rigorous and robust discussions over these next 2 days will yield actionable recommendations. And in this regard, we look forward to working with ADHR and all other stakeholders who are present today to contribute to implementing these action plans for the growth and development of Africa's digital economy. Thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you very much, Dr. Shillong. Our next goodwill message will be coming from Senegal, and it will be delivered by Mr. Mohamed Diop. He will be speaking French, but we have a translator to help us appreciate what he says. Let's welcome him with a round of applause, please.
Mulakama po bandimanga na bana Firenze kozala toujours na top pona nkoma likambo ezalaki nzoka pona miso ya Betie mwana Komora likambo ezalaki nzoka pona tayo ya Marosa.
Bonjour, Sanibona.
Good morning,
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
mesdames et messieurs.
Woman power. It's the first time this morning you have a man here.
C'est la première fois de m'avoir ici.
Et je vous demanderai d'applaudir les dames pour le travail qu'elles
I'd
font
like
pour
you
la
to
protection
clap
des
your
données
hands for the
personnelles en
women
Afrique.
for the work they are doing.
Bien le bonjour de Dakar, Sénégal.
So, greetings from Dakar, Senegal.
Donc, j'ai un message à vous transmettre de la part de Madame Awa Ndiaye, présidente de la Commission de protection des données personnelles du Sénégal,
I have a message to convey to you from the president in the Senegal.
qui a bien voulu être avec vous aujourd'hui.
She wanted to be with you here today,
Mais pour des raisons personnelles, elle a eu un déplacement à Paris.
but for personal reasons, she traveled to Paris.
Donc, si après le message qu'elle a bien demandé de vous transmettre,
So here is the message she wanted me to transmit to you.
Mesdames et Messieurs, Excellences,
Ladies and gentlemen, excellencies,
distingués invités,
distinguished guests,
chers présidents des autorités et présidentes des autorités africaines de protection des données personnelles,
dear President of Personal Data,
chère sœur Teki,
dear Serge Teki,
chère sœur Panzi,
Serge Panzi,
après Dakar en 2019, nous voici à Johannesburg en Afrique du Sud
after Dakar in 2019, here we are in Johannesburg, 2022,
chez Nelson Mandela pour célébrer ensemble la protection des données personnelles en Afrique.
So in the country of Nelson Mandela, we're here to celebrate the Data Protection Africa Summit.
La Commission de protection des données personnelles du Sénégal est ravie de prendre part à cet important événement.
So the Commission of Data Protection in Senegal is happy to be part of this,
Organisé par Africa Digital Rights Hub and the Information Regulator of South Africa,
which is organized by Information Regulator of South Africa.
Permettez-moi à cet effet de remercier chaleureusement ma sœur Teki
Allow me to thank my sister Teki
et de la féliciter encore pour son fort et constant engagement
and to congratulate her for a constant effort and engagement
pour la promotion de la protection des données personnelles en Afrique.
for the promotion of the protection of personal data in Africa.
Merci Teki pour tout le travail accompli.
Thank you, Teki, for all the work you've done.
Merci également à tous les membres du board de Africa Digital Rights Hub
Thank you as well to all the board members of Africa Digital Rights Hub.
et mes remerciements vont également à l'endroit de ma sœur et collègue Panzi
And my thanks go to my sister and colleague Panzi
pour son engagement elle aussi,
for her commitment as well,
notamment d'avoir bien voulu co-présider avec la CDP du Sénégal
notably for wanting to co-host together with ACDP of Senegal,
le groupe de travail sur la coopération internationale au sein du réseau africain des autorités de protection des données.
the working group in the Africa Network, and the group for the protection of data.
Mesdames et messieurs, chers collègues,
Ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues,
malgré qu'il existe quelques défis actuellement sur le continent en matière de protection des données personnelles,
despite the fact that there are still challenges when it comes to personal data protection in Africa,
nous avons un grand espoir et je dirais que nous sommes sur la bonne voie.
we have a big hope that we are on the right track.
Et nous voyons de plus en plus des pays africains se dotent de législation sur la protection des données personnelles et mettent en place des autorités africaines de protection des données personnelles.
And we are seeing more and more new legislations with regards to the data protection and more authorities getting involved in the data protection in the continent.
Et c'est à cet effet que le réseau africain de la protection des données personnelles a été créé en 2016 pour réunir toutes les autorités africaines en charge de la protection des données.
It's in this reason that the network of data protection was created in 2016 to gather all the stakeholders.
Et nous voyons actuellement qu'il y a un certain nombre de réseaux sous-régionaux à travers différents espaces communautaires, notamment la CEDEAO et l'UEMOA, la SADC, qui peut-être vont mettre sous peu en place un réseau d'autorités également de protection des données personnelles.
So we see several networks being born in the sub-region, notably the SADC.
Et toujours dans cet espoir, nous voyons également qu'il y a actuellement énormément d'échanges et de rencontres sur la protection des données personnelles.
In this hope, we can see that data protection is becoming more and more something that people, tend to work for.
À travers une approche inclusive.
Through an inclusive approach.
Avec la participation des acteurs privés, des responsables de traitement.
With the participation of private actors.
Des sous-traitants, des organisations de la société civile.
Subcontractors, CSOs.
Et c'est également encore une fois l'occasion de remercier Africa Digital Rights Hubs de nous donner cette opportunité aujourd'hui de réunir tous les acteurs donc, de la protection des données personnelles.
It's equally an opportunity to thank all the actors, everyone involved in the data protection for having organized this.
Cependant, il nous reste, comme je l'ai dit tout à l'heure, donc des défis à relever.
As I said not long ago, I spoke about the challenges we face.
Pour accompagner le développement de l'économie numérique en Afrique.
To accompany the digital development in Africa.
Pour cela, un certain nombre de questions doivent être discutées, comme nous aurons l'occasion de le faire ces 2 jours.
And for that, a number of issues will be discussed, and we have the opportunity of doing that in these 2 days.
Notamment, nous échangerons sur le métaverse, les flux transfrontières de données, les défis liés à la conformité.
So we are going to speak of issues having to do with the compliance of data, transfer of data.
Et la protection des enfants en ligne. Des enfants en ligne, Child Online Protection.
And child online protection.
Yeah. La CDP donc pourra partager son expérience de la mise en œuvre de la loi sénégalaise sur la protection des données personnelles.
ACDP will share with you its experience when it comes to the implementation of the data protection law in Senegal.
Et je vous informe que la réforme de la loi est presque finie actuellement au Sénégal, donc nous sommes dans les dernières étapes.
And I'm informing you that the law reform is almost at the end, almost completed in Senegal.
Et cette nouvelle loi va donc privilégier une approche de conformité en responsabilisant les responsables de traitement.
So, and this approach of law will put first the responsibilities of deciders.
Et j'espère également que nous aurons l'occasion d'en discuter davantage et d'avoir un retour d'expérience avec les autres participants.
And I hope we are going to discuss more and also hear experiences from different participants, hear your experiences.
Et nous espérons également que les travaux seront fructueux et que de fortes recommandations en ressortiront.
And we hope that the works here are going to be fruitful and there will be recommendations.
Et pour cela également, nous vous remercions. Merci.
And for that, I thank you.
If I never goes to Kuaya.
I have to readjust the microphones. I'm not vertically gifted like Mr. Diop, but and I wish Senegal very well at the World Cup. You play later today, and the rest of Africa is behind you. We'll take our next goodwill message from my home, Ghana. It will be delivered by Dr. Sena Detitu of the University of Ghana School of Law. Let's welcome her with a round of applause.
Kweshina Excellencies, regulators, participants, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me great pleasure to be here today as a participant in this summit and as a representative from the University of Ghana School of Law. Exactly 2 months ago, the University of Ghana School of Law had the pleasure of hosting and organizing a similar conference on the African data laws and their protection of personal and non-personal data. This conference was a success greatly due to the immense support of our partners from the University of Passau, specifically their Research Center for Law and Digitalization, and the African Digital Rights Hub, who are again today the organizers of this summit. That conference also saw the launch of the Africa Data Law and Policy Center of Excellence at the University of Ghana School of Law, in partnership with the University of Passau Research Center for Law and Digitalization, FRIDAI, in Germany, and with the support of the Embassy of the Federal Republic of Germany in Ghana. The primary focus of the center will be research, policy development and training on the regulation and protection of personal and non-personal data in Africa through the pursuance of 4 main objectives. 1, to train and build the capacity of qualifying African professionals on African data laws and policies. 2, to develop research projects that have an impact on the formulation of data laws and policies in Africa and beyond by promoting quality, sustainable, and internationally competitive research. 3, to serve as a platform for professionals, academics, policy and decision makers, as well as other stakeholders to share experiences and exchange skills. And 4, to offer structured executive and professional courses and seminars and accredited academic programs through hybrid teaching approaches, along with knowledge sharing, international conferences, and workshops. The center will also provide a platform for experts, practitioners, and other stakeholders within Africa and beyond to share experiences and exchange skills, as well as find suitable and culturally sensitive solutions to problems and challenges pertaining to data law and policies in Africa through workshops, seminars, and international conferences and summits such as this one. Thus, allow me to use this opportunity to thank and applaud the consistent efforts of the ADRH in the research and in implementation and sensitization on laws on data protection in countries all around Africa and in Ghana, and as we say in Ghana, Ayiko. Their work is an important and highly necessary one, and we know they have only just begun on this journey, which cannot be easy on a continent of pluralistic and ever-evolving legal systems. We look forward to many more partnerships in working on the implementation and harmonization of regulatory approaches in data protection laws across Africa with the ADRH and all other institutions and individuals present here. Enjoy the rest of the summit. Thank you.
See, I have noticed every time I adjust the microphone, there's only one person who notices and laughs silently in the corner. Incidentally, I'm just about 2 centimeters taller than her. Our next goodwill message is one that has been recorded because the person was unable to make it here. And it's from the Republic of Kenya. So please avert your eyes to the screen and let's take that message. Thank you.
na ye heureux bayamao basukse o awe lokumu ngenge basombaka te Zulu e makobo ngenge basomba na bango kasi un jour
That video is not available yet, so we're going to move on to what would have been our final message before the keynote address. The AFCFTA has presented a great deal of opportunity to the continent, as was captured in the message that Dr. Shillong shared with us. But in our country, we have an adage that loosely translated says, if a frog comes from the bottom of the water or the river and tells you the crocodile is asleep, you do not doubt what they say. And with that, I'd like for you all to, with a round of applause, help me welcome the former Vice Chair of the AU Commission, Ambassador Kwesi Kwartey, to give us a word.
Papa wemba kaka Kuru, kuru, kuru Ekumanye
Good morning, Your Excellencies. Good morning, distinguished participants. I am truly delighted to be associated with what by all accounts is a very important and earth-shaking development, though it may not be entirely obvious at first reckoning. I'd like to thank my daughter, Teki Akwete, and the African Digital Hub for inviting me to this meeting and for making it possible for me to visit this truly wonderful country. I listened to the choir sing the national anthem, and it took us all the way back and made us recognize how truly far we have come as an African people, winning our liberation, getting our people together, and I'm moving forward to develop a digital economy for the continent, which is what the African Union have been trying to do all this time. And it did so with the final establishment of the AFCFTA Secretariat and having it based in Accra. It was a dream of the founding fathers to liberate the continent and move it forward. But this was a continent which Kwame Nkrumah described as an enigma, a continent with resources, with people, and somehow managed to remain poor. And for him, that was the enigma of the century, and this is what we have been combating with all this time. And the work we have to acknowledge of this endeavor is to move forward and move the economy, the whole continent, further forward. And I believe that we're doing that, and South Africa is an example of what and how far we can move. So I'd like to congratulate the organizers and all of us involved in this process, that the further forward you go, the more obstacles you find that you have to accomplish. And so we continue in this very sacred endeavor to develop the digital economy, which has to be based on the concept of a truly literate and numerate Africa, an Africa where every infant is in school, where every infant has the ability to learn to read and write, because without that, we can forget about the 21st century. And it's on this basic education that the digital economy can be built. So allow me to thank you once again and putting the focus on this very important part of our development as a people. And as we develop and move forward, we find the need to find a commonness among us, to integrate and remove the borders, which are really in our minds and not physical, and to see how capital, knowledge, and technology can flow through the continent. And through that, make the leap forward that Africa needs to do to endeavor to create a life worth living for our people. Because our youth who are now dangerous trudging across the Sahara and getting drowned, crossing the Mediterranean, the result of which has now become a point of debate within even the powers in Europe. You find France and Italy at odds with each other, wondering who is more responsible for what has happened. We can assure them that that need not be their worry. What they have to do is to help focus on education, science, and technology for us. And with the digital age and digital economy, that is really possible now. And if we can do that, we'll find that information is power. And this power is multiplied several folds on ICT. So I'd like to thank you for your kind attention. I'd like to thank organizers for allowing me to be part of this very impressive movement. Thank you so much.
Okay, I'm not going to do it this time. Ladies and gentlemen, we will be taking that message from Kenya in a moment, but there's something I should have done, which is to inform you of our safety protocols. So there are 2 doors out of this room with the emergency exit marked on them. In the case of an emergency, we will walk gently but quickly out of those exits and follow the signs to a marked area where we can assemble. But if you would like to use any of the bathrooms available to us, you'll have to use the exits through here, and there's a stairway just behind the registration area, and that takes you to the bathrooms. And I'd like to remind us all to also put our mobile phones on silent so that you don't distract, especially me. I can't keep my focus too well, so any little noise can throw me off. I have decided to exercise my powers, which is very limited as the master of ceremony, to invite back Josie Sound to give us just 2 songs as a break between this point and the next item. Let's welcome them with a round of applause, please.
Bam 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 badam bam bam badam bam bam badam.
I'm pretty sure most of you know this one. And if you do, come on, get on your feet. Sakukuga satubega Nancy. Sakukuga satubega Nancy. Sakukuga satubega Nancy. Sakukuga satubega Nancy. Ayo mama, yo mama. Ayo mama, yo mama. Ayo mama, yo mama. Ayo mama, yo mama. Sakukuga satubega Nancy. Ayo sakukuga satubega Nancy. Sakukuga satubega Nancy. Sakukuga satubega Nancy. Ayo mama, yo mama. Ayo mama, yo mama. Ayo mama, yo mama. Ayo mama, yo mama. Come on, come on. Sweet Nancy, such a Papa do
Wemajola phumeti longweni ndinengxaka nxaka zomzi wam uyayo hayi boy wamniza siphinde futhi wemajola phumeti longweni ndinengxaka nxaka zomzi wam uyeye ndinengxaka nxaka zomzi wam wemajola phumeti longweni ndinengxaka nxaka zomzi wam uyoyo ndinengxaka nxaka zomzi wam ithi wemajola phumeti longweni ndinengxaka nxaka zomzi wam uyoyo ndinengxaka nxaka zomzi wam
Namakhoba nusuke Mzansi esinyini unothando kuwelo kuyinkosazana yevumeni ndiyimvume yavunywayo ndiyimvume wachumama ndiyimvume tobeleleni ngoba yimi inkosazana bo Namakhoba nusuke Mzansi esinyini unothando kuwelo kuyinkosazana bo.
Kamata ila mama randi na malinga kasi malembe
That was wonderful and very energetic. I think they deserve another round of applause. Sounds of Josie. I'm going to find a way to take them to Ghana. Apart from, if you can promise me that they wouldn't make the hair on my back stand up. That's the only part that scares me. I don't want to tear up, but that was just wonderful performance. So we're at the point where we'll take our keynote address. And this is to officially open the conference. And we'll be hearing from Advocate Colin Weapon. Ladies and gentlemen, with a round of applause, let's welcome him.
Yeah, mama. Bolingo sekwe na reference puisse le paya sharufa. Soki na zongi kuna e pai to bataka.
Thank you, Program Director, for adjusting the mic on our behalf. Good morning to Your Excellencies, Commissioners, and esteemed guests, as well as the participants. And a special thank you to the Digital Rights Hub for organizing the Data Protection African Summit 2022. Thank you so much as well to the colleagues that spoke before me. I'd like to wish Uganda and Nigeria well in establishing their offices, and they should make contact with us so that they can maybe learn from us because we started our office in December 2016. Also very importantly, I'd like to refer to Dr. Olalade's address, and also just to, on a lighter note, acknowledge that the CEO of the Information Regulator and myself and Dr. Olalade are meeting a lot these days, either in Europe or in South Africa. Rightly so, and I think it needs to be applauded, is the fact that the Mauritian Data Protection Authority touched on very important aspects of privacy by design, as well as artificial intelligence. The Information Regulator would like to thank the Data Protection African Summit organizers for the opportunity to deliver this all-important opening address. We as the regulator view this opportunity as a chance to re-emphasize the importance of data protection as a human right in the technological age. I'd like to believe that the principles governing data protection is widely accepted and embraced. This marks the start for the development of a data protection framework for Africa's digital economy, taking into account national and regional frameworks. It is equally important to use and infuse the learnings from the Global Privacy Assembly into the summit to ensure consistency in our approach whilst focusing on solutions for Africa. The summit's focus ensures a 360-degree approach to the key critical issues and challenges that regulators, policymakers, and academia seeks to address, which includes to build industry capacity and to ensure data protection compliance on the continent, formulate key lessons and issues for advocacy, explores avenues for regional cooperation and collaboration between African regulators, policymakers, and their counterparts around the world, create opportunities for strategic collaborative partnerships and cooperation amongst all stakeholders, showcase tools for data protection. The regulator has a mandate and continues to deliver on all 5 areas which forms the focus of the summit. Regulators across the continent are required to foster a closer relationship to ensure that mandates and objectives are effectively executed. Learnings from, amongst other, the COVID-19, Cambridge Analytica, data breach, are just a few examples which necessitates cooperation amongst regulators, data protectors, controllers, and data subjects. Some of the key learnings from the Cambridge Analytica includes abuse and exploitation of personal data, failure to ensure transparency, processing personal data without considering the ethical aspects thereof, failure to ensure that abusive practices is identified and stopped immediately. The above-mentioned learnings highlight the need for a higher level of transparency to create trust between and amongst data controllers and data subjects. There should be transparency about how technology is used in one's company. App developers, manufacturers, social media companies should engage and monitor all inappropriate data collection and use practices, especially around online protection of children. The engagement approach and the deployment of monitoring tools become extremely important in the African context, where regulators don't have the necessary capacity, capabilities, and other resources to execute their respective mandates and objectives effectively and efficiently. What exacerbates the issue and challenges around the execution of the respective regulators' mandates and objectives is the continuous technological advances that we continue to appreciate. The metaverse is but one that Dr. Olalede referred to just a while ago. These advances dictate the move from privacy by design to privacy by innovation. Regulators should create an environment which seeks to promote coexistence of privacy by design and innovation by ensuring that the legal frameworks are designed and responsive to violations. The information regulator has, on the 15th and 16th, witnessed its first sitting of its enforcement committee, which will consider, in effect, some matters relating to PAIA. Therefore, a solid roadmap for companies is required to ensure that privacy is by design and not achieved through default or corrections. Tension between innovation and privacy is largely dependent on the approach of regulators. A strict approach, a black and white approach, or a one-size-fits-all could increase tension or be a barrier to achieve innovation. And that we acknowledge, Dr. Olaledi, and also the crucial steps that you are taking to ensure that the metaverse is established. Your innovation is acknowledged. Investing and embedding privacy in technology through a process of privacy engineering is key, needed and required to achieve a balance between privacy and innovation. This approach is referred to as the combined approach, which includes science and maths, design thinking, creativity, and all other concepts and requirements in the combined approach, whereas defaults are usually correction of errors after the fact. Systems should continuously be evaluated to determine if it is and complies with designed objectives. Data minimization approaches vis-a-vis collecting as much data whilst ensuring data privacy is maintained are not mutually exclusive concepts. The tremendous benefits of processing data whilst collected for innovation and commercial purposes, whilst making sure that protection is observed, is key for the coexistence of privacy and data collection to achieve innovation. And that is one of the aspects that all regulators across the continent should recognize and acknowledge. We are not created to stifle innovation. The 44th Global Privacy Assembly highlighted the approach of creating guidelines on artificial intelligence. The algorithms which informs and makes determinations should be considered and studied by regulators to ensure that technologies are compliant from the onset. As programs of deep learning and algorithms comes into question, we need to understand and gain basic knowledge of these technologies in order to ensure the regulation thereof. We should be asking deep and probing questions in relation to our respective data protection policies. That's where the focus of the regulator should be, and the future of data protection is moving towards, because these technologies are powerful and they continue to shape our daily lives and will impact the way in which corporates process data. We should also learn from 20 years of under-regulation of the internet by ensuring a shift in focus to artificial intelligence and privacy by design. We should be asking if our current instruments are adequate, or should we look at additions. Progress made by technology often, if not always, results in gaps in the current laws and tools. It seems like regulators and legislatures always have to do some catching up. In short, artificial intelligence is as good as its algorithms. Nothing prevents design of algorithms to include privacy and innovation. The European Union is investing in an ISO standard on privacy by design, which will be published soon to ensure alignment between the technological advances and regulations. Conditions on accountability and openness will become the cornerstones when companies innovate. In closing, harmonizing laws and looking at convergence is key. Government's role and corporate when collecting data becomes extremely important. Research should be done in relation to artificial intelligence, innovation, principles of privacy by design. The view on privacy by corporates will increase trust between companies and their clients, and trust will ultimately result in brand value and increase thereof. Embedding privacy by design into the operations can become a huge advantage to corporates, as their systems will be compliant from the onset without us having to do corrections or issue penalties for violations. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much.
Another round of applause for Advocate Weapon. Would you like some coffee? Okay, well, at the moment, I'm standing between you and the coffee. So I will let you out in a moment. We are at the end of the first part of this morning's deliberation, so the conference is officially open. And we're going to take some photos. I think it's important that one day we'll look back when data, privacy, and the cause we've started has taken shape and has yielded the fruits that we hoped. We can look back and remember who we stood next to when we charted that path. So, 2 quick announcements. The speakers in the first panel after the break, when we're done taking the photos, I'd like for you to wait in this area, and then we'll have you mic'd before you do your coffee break, and then when you come back, we go straight into the first panel. There are QR codes on the pillars in the room. That is the code that will take you to the program. We didn't print programs. We've decided to go paperless because it is our duty and responsibility to keep the earth as beautiful as it was handed to us. And then finally, the order of the photographs. I'm going to ask all speakers to make your way first onto the stage for the photographs, and then everyone else will join the speakers and we'll take the photos together. Then we'll take a 15-minute break for tea and coffee, and then we'll come back in. So the speakers, please make your way up to the stage and let's take the photos.